101 review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. So today I have my special guest. She is the author of a children's book, no other than, or children's books, no other than Miss Maryanne Wood.
Hello. Thank you
Well,
for having me, Daniel.
welcome to Book 101, Miss Marianne. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Uh, I'm Maryanne Wood, and I'm really excited to be on your podcast to talk about my new book series, Randall and Hunter Go with the Flow. These books are based on my two basset hounds, Randall and um, they moved from California to Vermont, where I live, and experienced new things. So they help children learn to be adaptable, realize that new things don't have to be scary, which is a good lesson for all of us. And prior to writing these books, I was a professional dog trainer for 15 years. And so I obviously have a lifelong appreciation and love for dogs. And Randall and Hunter were really two special guys in terms of teaching me to be open and adaptable in my life as well.
Miss Mary Ann Wood, thank you so much for sharing your children's books to the world. And for sure, your knowledge and wisdom. What is about Basset Hounds, the quirks, expressions, or behaviors that makes them perfect fury teachers for kids?
Well, I think their appearance is quite memorable. They have those long, floppy ears and short, stubby legs, and they're in the hound family, so they make that kind of funny sound. They kind of go oh when they howl or bark. So it's interesting because when I would take them for walks, people just notice them. They kind of go, "Wow, look, those guys are so cute." And you don't. I feel like they're not that commonly seen, so people really do notice them.
Miss Marianne, can you share a specific Basset blunder that inspired a story about patience or boundaries?
Yeah. So as I said, these were they traveled. They were originally living in San Diego, California, with my sister, and they were actually her dogs. And she got quite ill and couldn't take care. So they contacted me and said, "Would I take them?" Contacted anymore to take them, and I said, sure, of course." So they flew out from California to Vermont, and so they had to adjust to a new home, a new family. They had never seen um, the change of seasons before because San Diego doesn't really have much change of seasons. So they saw snow for the first time, and it was much greener here. And so they adjusted to those kinds of things quite well. Uh, and so it's sort of helping children to realize that they can adapt to things that they're not familiar with. And that's really one of the main themes and one of the real reasons I wrote the books. And then in the second book, Hunter's New View, it carries on with that theme of adaptability and being open to change. In that Hunter actually lost his eyesight and became blind. And so then the challenge of being adaptable got even greater because he had to learn how to get around the house, how to locate, to survive as a blind dog. So that is, as I said, carrying on the idea of, you know, we're adaptable, but now there's even a bigger challenge to adapt to. So it really does. It lets children know that when you're resilient and you're open to things, anything is possible, and you can deal with whatever you need to deal with.
How do you ensure the lessons cut deeper than just a dogs are adorable?
Well, I think that because I think children realize, oh yeah, a move can be scary. Some children do move from one house to another or one part of the country to another. And so it's kind of setting the example that, yeah, we're going to do it, and we're going to be okay with it, and we're going to experience what's new about it, but still embrace what's new about it. And the same thing with the blindness piece. I mean, that's a big challenge, especially for people. I mean, dogs, because dogs can so much more rely on their sense of smell, but it can say to a child, look, if Hunter can do this, then you can do it. And with help of his brother Randall and his family and his friends, that I can find my way around the house. I can do the things that I always did. So I think it's got some really valuable lessons in there.
Miss Marianne, when does Bassett's legendary stubbornness model healthy persistence versus inflexibility?
Well, I mean, hounds in general can be quite stubborn, but I think that maybe that can work to their advantage because they maybe have a little bit more of a determination to do what they want to do. They for sure, those two, Randall and Hunter, definitely followed their nose. They're very smell driven, and they definitely followed their nose. In fact, there was one incident where Randall um, got on the scent of some deer and went into the woods behind my house, and he was gone for 24 hours in the winter. It was quite cold, a lot of snow on the ground, and his loud howling bark was what finally somebody heard it and brought him home. So, I think again, that's a good example of how you can be lost, you can be scared, but you can still have some great thing happen at the end, and you don't have to give up.
Don't give up, people. Don't give up. Try and try until you
That's right.
succeed. Miss Marianne, why do kids see themselves in a flawed but lovable hounds more easily than perfect characters?
Well, I think kids relate to pets and dogs, and I think that they all have many of them have dogs, and they understand that um, dogs sometimes experience the same of having uh, some of the same life experiences. And I know that when I go to schools and read these books to the kids, they're always taken with Randall and Hunter, and they say, oh yeah, well, my dog, he'll do this, and my dog will do that, and they can relate to it because I think it's something that they experience on a firsthand basis. So I feel like it's sometimes easier for them to relate to an animal than maybe a person at times.
Miss Marianne, what's a fun questions or activity you include to help kids apply the lesson? Post a story.
Well, on my website, which is maryannewood.com, we have under the parents and teachers section, we have some really nice word search puzzles that um, contain uh, a lot of the words that are used in the books, like adaptable, flow, basset hound, so that kids can get really familiar with these terms. Because I find adaptable, the word adaptable in general, is not a word that a lot of young people know. They don't understand it. So it's a teaching tool. So when I go into the schools or I talk to the kids, I'll explain what adaptable means, and then they're going home with a new word. So they're learning to enhance their language skills, which I think is very helpful.
Totally very helpful indeed. Miss Marianne, as an author, what are your short term and long term goals?
Well, short term, I have one more book coming out in the Randall and Hunter series. And that one is Randall and Hunter Go with the Flow, Confidence Unleashed at the Shelter. So I don't want to say too much about what's going to be revealed in that, but it sort of brings everything full circle with Randall and Hunter. And so I'm excited to get that out. And long term, I just feel like these books have a fantastic message. And for more and more kids to learn that, yeah, life is always going to be throwing us curveballs. There's always going to be things changing in the world and in our lives. And it's all about how we choose to look at it and deal with it. And so if you kind of take Randall and Hunter as an example, they're a good role model for not to just going with the flow, as the title says, going with the flow. And so long term, I'd like these books to get into as many children's hands as possible, so that becomes a mantra for them. Go with the flow, go with the flow.
Go to the flow, people. Go to the flow, indeed. And good luck to your goals, Miss Marianne. And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be an author like you?
Oh, I love that question. I say, if it's in your heart and you're inspired, do it. Don't hesitate, because I didn't necessarily think I had a good story, but I think I found out otherwise. And you just have to believe in yourself, hold to your belief. And if you believe in yourself, then chances are it's going to be contagious, and other people will too. And so I think I think most people have a story to tell, and I think it's worth telling. So I would say, do it. Don't hesitate. Do it.
Do it, people. Stop procrastinating and share your talents to the world if you have something to share. Like Miss Mary Ann
Absolutely.
Wood. And could you grumpy cats or zombie terriers or join the bassets to teach complementary lessons?
Yeah, absolutely. They can teach lessons. I think they can teach lessons not to just young ones, but to anybody. Even as the parents are reading the books to them, I think everyone will be inspired when they hear the stories.
Hmm. For sure. Have you created activities to make lessons experimental, Miss Marianne?
Have I created lessons? I'm sorry.
Have you created activities to make lessons experimental?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as I said, there's some good stuff on the website that people can avail themselves of, and I think that you know the stories are they're really they're poignant, and they're going to children are just really going to enjoy it, and I think they're going to buy the first one, and they're going to want the next two as well. They're going to want to keep that theme of going and going and going with the flow.
How can or how are teachers using your books to spark social emotional learning?
Well, as I said, what I've been doing is I've been visiting the schools and in my communities in particular, been reaching out, and I've been really gotten good reception. The teachers, set the time aside for me to come. I read the stories to the kids. I answer their questions. And they usually have really good thought-provoking questions. It's really incredible. They'll ask things like, "Are Randall and Hunter still alive?" Which the answer to that is no, they're not. They're not still alive. They passed some years ago, but and they'll ask things like, uh, "You were their new mom. Was their other mom your sister?" Yes, she was. So they ask questions that are really, I feel like they're really taking the story in. And from there, when they get back to their classroom and they're with their teacher, the teachers can really dive into things like, well, how are you adaptable? How do you deal with change? Uh, what what's your favorite season? Because it goes into the seasons of the year and how they're different: spring, summer, fall, and winter. It talks about uh, as I said, the second book talks about blindness, so they can get into a discussion about having disabilities and how you overcome those and how you can handle those, and moving to a new location. So there's so many things that a teacher can cover with their students that are contained in those books. A lot of things.
Ms. Marianne, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and law 101 in my baby podcast, people. My baby podcast, Law 101 and Mental Health 101, Love Letters in fourth season, as well as my movie 101 review and music 101 and science 101 and sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. Miss Marianne, what's one Basset Hound truth you hope every child carries into adulthood?
That's well, I think it's not just a basset hound truth. I think this is a truth about dogs in general. Um, I think they show us every day unconditional love, and that they're not judging. They're not you know fighting or warring. They just have an open heart, and so that's what I would like to leave everybody with: the idea that let's all be more like Randall and Hunter, and dogs in general, and open our hearts and go with the flow.
Go with the flow, people. And Miss Maryanne Wood, thank you so much for sharing your books to the world. And so, can you please invite our listeners to support your books itself?
Sure, they can find my books on Amazon, and you can order them through my website at maryannwood.com. Either
Yes,
way.
yes,
And
people, let's
let's
support.
get it out.
Let's get it out. Let's support Miss Maryanne Wood, because if you support her, more and more and more empowering books like this to come. So, Miss Maryanne, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
More to come, people. See you soon.